except her and Indra's got her clients with her. Tell them to pick Spanish, everybody else pick English. Let me turn off my camera.
Mr. Albie's with us for the department. Casa is with us. Mr. Turner is with us representing the children. Mr. Barfield, who represents an unknown father, is not with us, which is not surprising to me. Miss Donna Christie, who represents the mother in that case, Michaela, neither Donna Christie, which is not surprising to me, nor Miss Osorio is with us. I'll also call cause number one. In that case, Mr. Albie's with us for the department. Casa is with us. Again, Donna Christie is not with us. She represents the children. Ms. Naranjo is with us representing the parents. In that case, Mr. Hernandez and Miss, I can't pronounce the last name, Chajai. Both of those parents are with us, with Miss Naranjo. And we also have an unknown father in that case. Okay, I have Juan Heredia and Nicole Brooks in the waiting room. The others are lawyers that I guess are with some of our next cases. So.
Your Honor, I apologize, but with the translation feature on, I cannot hear you all. I can only hear the translator.
I don't know. I guess that's the problem with you being in the room where they're speaking Kichi. I don't know if you can go to another room with another device.
Let me see if I can.
Yes, what I've had to do is dial in on my phone and just go to a different room. Which I'm here and I'm the guardian ad litem for the child. I saw an email from Miss Christie last week that she was not going to be here and she was going to try to get someone to cover for her.
All right. Well, it would have been nice if Miss Christie would have told us that. So I will get Jay Michelson and Lorraine Lucero in and see if either one of those is covering for her. I'm getting ready to send out an email to everybody about this being a continual problem with lawyers not showing up and not letting us know why they're not showing up. So I'm going to beat the drum a little bit this morning.
We're not starting you out on the right foot for the rest of the attorneys today. Sorry, Judge.
That's right. No, you guys showed up. You're on the good list. Ms. Lucero, I've let you in. Are you covering for Donna Christie on these Perez cases? Oh, she's not connected.
Yes, I am, Your Honor.
Oh, okay. All right. Would you let Miss Christie know? She needs to let us know when she's not going to show up because she never does.
I'll let her know.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate you showing up for her. Let's see, who else? Mr. Michelson, are you covering for somebody? You're muted.
No, sir. I'm here for Watley. I guess I'm a little early.
Okay, that's fine. I'll put you back in the waiting room, but thank you for showing up.
Sure.
All right, Mr. Barfield, as usual, has not shown up and has not let us know that he's not going to be here. So, Mr. Alley?
Thank you, Your Honor. I would call Ms. Nicole Brooks. In that capacity, you are familiar with both of the cases that we're here today on. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And for the record, they're related cases. Michaela is one of the children of Mariah and Trocido.
Yes, sir.
And Michaela's child is Isaac.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So let's start with the case with the most children. In that particular case, Michaela is placed where?
In Randall County at a group home.
And Angel is placed where?
At the same place as Michaela.
And Selena is placed where?
As well at the same place as Michaela.
And Haley is placed where?
She is in a foster home in Lubbock.
And Atiana is placed where?
In that same foster home with Haley.
Now, Haley and Atiana are twins?
Yes, sir.
And they're 2?
Yes.
Selena's 4?
Yes.
Angel's 12,
Yes, sir.
and Michaela's 14.
She just turned 15 in December.
Now, for the record, how are they doing in their placements?
They're doing really well. They're all around great kids. Very respectful. They keep up on their chores. They yes, ma'am, yes, sir, vice versa with the nose. So they're really good. And school's going good for all of them.
And is their current placements, respective placements, meeting all of their respective needs?
Yes, they are.
Any special issues or special needs for any of the children other than Michaela that we need to talk about with the court?
No.
Okay. Maria is the mother to some of these children.
Yes, sir.
Which children is she the mother to?
She is the mother to Angel, Selena, Haley, and Itana.
And she was ordered to work services.
Yes, sir.
Has she substantially complied with the services that she was ordered to complete?
She has.
There were some communication issues, but you believe that those have been worked out so that she's gained from her counseling and her parenting classes?
Yes, sir.
The father to some of these children is Transito. Is that correct?
Yes.
Which children is he the father of?
Michaela, Selena, Haley, and Itana.
Okay. He was also ordered to work services through a service plan. And has he substantially complied with the services in that service plan?
He has.
And again, there were some communication issues, but you think that we've worked through those communication issues and he has learned from the services that he was providing?
I do.
It's my understanding that St. Francis Ministries and the department would like to begin reunifying these children under a stepped up type monitored return.
Yes, sir.
All right. So let's talk about what your recommendation and plan would be. What would we start with and how would it continue?
So we'd like to start out returning the twins, Haley and Itana, home. With starting out with that, we'd like to start out with, they did an unsupervised visit Monday, actually. And so their next unsupervised visit will be the 12th. After that, on the 16th, we'd like to do an overnight stay. So Friday at 5 until Saturday at 5. The following Monday, they'll have an unsupervised visit, and this will include Michaela, Angel, and Selena in that unsupervised visit. Then on the 23rd, they'll have a weekend visit, Haley and Itana will, with the parents, beginning at 5 o'clock on Friday, and it'll go until 5 o'clock on Sunday. If everything goes well, I will place them in the home on Monday with mom and dad.
Now, let me stop you right there. That would be Monday the 24th?
The 16th. Let me see. Sorry, I'm looking at my calendar. I apologize. Yes.
Okay. And then what would, after you return the two children on the 24th, what would be the next steps?
So then we would work on returning Angel and Selena to the house, and we would continue with the unsupervised visits. On March 4th, we will have an unsupervised visit. Or on March 1st, they will have an overnight visit with mom and dad, beginning at 5 on Friday night, ending at 5 on Saturday. And then on March 4th, they'll have an unsupervised visit, and Michaela will be included in that. And then on March 8th, they will have a weekend visit with Angel and Selena. If everything goes well, I will place them in the home on March 11th.
So it sounds to me like outside of Michaela, and we're going to talk about Michaela separately in just a minute. Outside of Michaela, the plan would be to have all of the children or the other 4 children back in the home in about 30 days.
Yes, sir.
And in the meantime, you would be continuing to supervise these or monitor the home. You would be continuing to go into the home, make sure everything's going all right, even though the visits would be unsupervised.
Yes, sir. I plan on going in once a week to make sure supervision is there and monitor the home.
Now, part of the reason that all of the children were removed, there were some communication issues, but there was also some question as to some injuries to Michaela's baby, Isaac, and then to some neglect. Specifically, the injuries to Isaac were unexplained, but during the length of this case, we have kind of come to an understanding of what caused some of those injuries.
Yes, sir.
And that comes from communication with Michaela and with Transito and Maria.
Yes.
So you would feel like that it would, the services that were provided and with the monitoring that you've discussed, that it would be safe to return these children in a graduated basis.
Yes, sir.
Now, let's talk about Michaela. Michaela is a 15-year-old mother to Isaac. And how old is Isaac?
Isaac's a year.
And what is the plan, first of all, with Isaac? What would we like to be able to do with Isaac at this time?
Ultimately return him to his mom, but we would like to see Michaela placed in a foster home with Isaac to give her more one-on-one parenting.
So currently Michaela's in a group home in Randall. Do we have a foster home that would accept Michaela and Isaac at this time?
I have been speaking with Isaac's foster mom. I'm waiting to hear about some other children in her home being returned. And once I get that, that's a possibility, but I'm also already looking at other foster home placements to move them into.
So before we would send Isaac back to Maria and Transito, we would like, before we would send Michaela back to Maria and Transito, we would like to put Isaac with Michaela in a home where she has some one-on-one fostering to make sure that she's capable of maintaining Isaac on a full-time basis.
Yes, sir.
And the reason for that is because Michaela's very young.
Yes, and she's in school.
Yeah. And so there's some obstacles that she may have to overcome in order for her to be able to go home and for us to no longer be involved.
Yes, sir.
So just to condense that, we want to do a step-up monitored return for all of these children, with the youngest 4 to go home within the next 30 days, and then Isaac to be placed back with Michaela in a foster home once we have a proper foster home where that can be done.
Yes, sir.
Do you believe all of that's in the child's or children's best interest?
I do.
Have you talked with this plan with, first of all, Michaela?
No, I plan on doing it with her when I go visit her this week.
Have you talked about this plan with Maria and Transito?
I know my parent support worker, Juan, helped me out with that and discussing it with them on Monday, since there is that language barrier there for me.
So they're at least aware of what our plan is.
Yes, sir.
You filed, or did you file this plan with the court last week?
Yes, sir.
So everybody's had an opportunity to look at it.
Yes.
Your Honor, at this time, I'll pass the witness.
All right, thank you. Ms. Naranjo.
Your Honor, before I question Ms. Brooks, I did want to bring to the court's attention that we had also filed a motion requesting an emergency hearing, as well as requesting that all the children be placed home today. And I just wanted to make sure that the court was going to address that motion as well.
Yeah, I've read the motion. I have it in front of me. I will just tell the parties that I'm inclined to go along with what the department's requesting. But anyway, I do have your motion in front of me.
Thank you, Your Honor. Ms. Brooks, you're a permanency specialist with St. Francis, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And what does that role kind of entail?
It involves me going into the home of the parents to monitor them and make sure they're making the changes in their lives to mitigate the reasons of removal, and also keeping up with the children and making sure all their needs are being met.
As part of your duties, is it common procedure to take notes and keep a record of what's been going on in the case?
Yes, ma'am.
And is it particularly important to keep a record of anything important that happens in the case?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And is it also common that permanency specialists will take over for other specialists that were previously assigned to a case?
It is.
And when a new specialist is assigned, do they normally look at the notes and records that are left behind by the prior specialist?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, you were assigned to this case back in July of 2023, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And the prior specialist on this was Tony Tunstall, correct?
Yes.
And per your permanency report, Mr. Tunstall became aware through Mr. Heredia about what injuries had occurred to Isaac and how they occurred, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And per your permanency report, Mr. Heredia came aware of this information back in June of 2023, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, since this information has been known by the department for about 6 months, why is it just coming to the attention of everybody now?
It was never put in the case notes by Mr. Tunstall, so I had no idea until I spoke with Mr. Heredia in December, and that's when I found out about the information.
And why did you wait until about December to make any inquiries with Mr. Heredia about anything that had occurred?
Because he's pretty open with me on things, and it just was something that hadn't came up between us yet. And when I was sitting there doing some work for this case, it came across my mind that I had just not asked him, out of all people yet, if he knew what had happened.
So in this case, Mr. Tunstall didn't record what had happened, the conversation between Mr. Heredia, even though that would have been incredibly important to record?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, you have in your permanency report that Mr. and Mrs. Perez Hernandez have completed all their services, correct?
Yes.
And have you been to their home recently?
I have. I actually went the 2 weeks ago, or a week ago on the 30th, I believe it was.
And is everything safe and appropriate for children?
It is. I did speak with them about a couple things, like putting the light plug sockets in their light plugs so the kids don't shock themselves. Some locks on their cabinets where they keep their chemicals. Just some pointers like that. And they do have a fireplace that I suggested putting a gate in front of so the kids can't climb in front of it or into it.
Okay, but those are some pretty minor things, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And as far as your permanency report also stated that there's currently no continuing danger to the children being returned home to the parents, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, if there's no continuing danger, why is St. Francis and the department asking for a step-up plan before returning the children home?
Because we want to make sure the supervision is intact there. The causes of Isaac's injuries, yes, Michaela was the mother, but she was a young mother and should have had some help. And so just the supervision there was some of that, and making sure not all of it's put on the older kids to watch those younger ones.
And the services that they completed are to help address those issues with the supervision and parenting skills and things like that, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And they've completed those services, correct?
Yes.
So they would have the skills now to be able to handle the concerns over the supervision, correct?
Yes, but we want to make sure that they are using those skills to instill the supervision.
Now, the main concerns is really over Michaela and Isaac at this point, correct?
Besides the supervision, yes.
So instead of doing a visitation plan, wouldn't it just be best to just send the other children home separate than Michaela and Isaac?
I still want to stick firm with the step up so I can monitor their supervision. So when we do return Angel and Selena home, Angel being the oldest in the home isn't put to watch the younger ones and then put Michaela in the home. So she's not put to watch the younger ones and everything on both of them.
Now, if some of the children were returned to today, St. Francis and the department would still be involved, correct?
Yes.
And therefore, you would still have the opportunity to make sure that everything is going well, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
I'll pass the witness.
Ms. Brooks, let me just ask you, as far as the 4 youngest children, everyone except Michaela and Isaac, would it be a danger to those kids to be returned to their parents today?
No, I don't
Right.
think so.
Okay. Would it be contrary to their welfare for the 4 youngest children to be returned to their parents today?
No, sir.
Okay. All right. Thank you. All right. Let's see. Miss Lucero, you're next.
You. Ms. Brooks, whenever your assistant worker translated what the department is wanting to do, or St. Francis was wanting to do, what was the father's response to that?
I have not heard from him yet on that. I had not got a chance to talk to him.
Okay, but have you spoken with him through the pendency of this case?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and has he expressed to you on more than one occasion that he wants the children returned back to the home as soon as possible?
Transito, the father.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
And again, he's worked his services, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And as Judge Graham asked, there's no continuing danger if they were to the older children at least were to be returned today, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
I'll pass the witness.
Yeah, thank you. All right, Miss Kincaid.
Thank you, Your Honor. She just asked about having the older children return to the home. That's the older children except for Michaela. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So do you think that it would be unsafe to return Michaela to the home today?
I do.
Okay. And it would be contrary to her welfare and Isaac's welfare for her to be returned home today. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. I'll pass the witness, Your Honor.
I didn't hear you. Isaac's health, is Isaac doing well as far as, does he have any health issues, developmental issues, or anything like that, Ms. Brooks?
No, he's doing really well. We do still have ECI in there just to make sure he's getting everything he needs. But it's been knocked back to once a month as far as like occupational and physical therapy, just to make sure he is hitting those milestones. But other than that, he's on target.
And as far as visits, have there been visits between Michaela and Isaac?
Yes, she's actually getting to see him twice a week. She sees him on Mondays when she does her sibling visit with her parents. And then she gets to see him on Wednesdays as well for 2 hours after she gets out of school.
During those visits, are they visits where she is kind of learning how to take care of him? Are they just kind of visit and play kind of visits? Kind of describe how those visits have gone to this point?
So with the parents, I know that after speaking with Mr. Heredia, she does turn and ask him questions to make sure she's doing things right. Pointers as to maybe she wasn't changing a diaper right and how to not put it on as tight so it doesn't cut off circulation or anything like that. So they are really helping her out, and we've seen progress in her. She's also currently in parenting classes and has been applying those skills to her visits.
Okay, so she's progressing in kind of learning how to take care of him, but there hasn't really been anything intense or anything that longer than 2 hours where she's had to do that, correct?
Yes, sir.
And so your plan is to kind of slowly work her in with some other supervision where she has to take care of Isaac for longer periods of time.
Yes, sir. So that she learns how to manage him in school, and get that more protective parenting portion in.
Yeah, and as you just stated, she has to also take care of herself and go to school and take care of that part of being a child herself, correct?
Yes, and her and I have talked about that, and I just told her I really don't want to see her dropping out of school again or anything, so we want to give her all the help we can to make sure she knows she can manage Isaac and school at the same time.
And being one of the older children in her home with her siblings, in the past, she has had to take care of some of her other younger children, correct?
Yes.
And that probably would not be good for Isaac for her to be potentially a caretaker for other younger children while she's also trying to take care of her own child.
Yes, sir.
At age 15, no less.
Yes, sir.
I'll pass the witness, Your Honor.
All right. All right. Does anyone have further questions for Ms. Brooks?
No, Your Honor.
All right. Mr. Albee, did you have any other witnesses?
I do not, Your Honor. I think I'll rest at this time.
Okay, thank you. And I'll tell everybody, I'm not telling you how to manage your cases, but Ms. Brooks answered the two questions that I have to ask, and that once she answered those questions, that there's no danger and no contrary to the welfare. I'm just telling everyone that I intend to send these 4 youngest children home today because she's answered the questions that requires me to send them home today. So that having been said, again, I'm not trying to manage y'all's cases, but Ms. Naranjo, do you have any witnesses?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you. Let me get my flow chart here. Ms. Lucero, on behalf of Ms. Christie, do you have any witnesses?
No witnesses, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Kincaid, any witnesses?
No witnesses, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Turner, any witnesses?
No, Your Honor.
Okay. All right, then let me take these. Ms. Lucero, as far as all of the youngest children, everyone except Michaela and Isaac, your recommendation today for the 4 youngest children?
Your Honor, are you asking me?
Yes.
Okay. Well, on behalf of Ms. Christie, it was my understanding that she was requesting that the kids go home. The 4 youngest kids go home today. They'd like all the children, but she would like for the 4 to go home.
Okay. All right. Mr. Turner, as far as Isaac, and I guess to Ms. Lucero, I didn't ask you, but what's been proposed is that we put Michaela and Isaac in a separate foster home so she can learn to parent her own child without having to parent the others. Do you have any recommendation as to Michaela today?
Your Honor, well, I would recommend that Michaela, that the plan that that the department has would be in the best interest.
Okay, thank you. All right, Mr. Turner, on behalf of Isaac, recommendations.
On behalf of Isaac, I would recommend that the department be maintained as the conservator and that the department's plan seems to be the most realistic plan as far as reuniting Isaac with Michaela.
Okay, all right, thank you. Casa, let's talk about the 4 youngest children, recommendations on those kiddos.
Yes, Judge, we would recommend that they go home today due to it being stated that there is no danger.
All right, and then as to Michaela and Isaac.
We do believe it would be in their best interest to be moved into a foster home together so that Michaela can learn more skills one-on-one with Isaac.
All right, thank you. All right, I appreciate all of you working through this mess. I've sat here like with a flow chart trying to keep up with things. So as far as cause number 1, I will continue the department's temporary managed conservator. I'll order a monitored return of the 4 youngest children to be placed back with their parents immediately. As to Michaela, I'll order that she be placed in a separate foster home along with Isaac. I'm kind of mixing the 2 cases together, and I apologize. As far as Isaac's case, I'll continue the department's temporary managed conservator. I'll order that Isaac be placed in a foster home along with his mother, Michaela. All right, in both cases, I'll set final hearings for May 1st, 2024. That will be by Zoom like today's hearing, so parties and attorneys can go on the court's online docket a day or 2 in advance of May 1st to see exactly what time we'll have that hearing. Again, I appreciate everybody's patience. I know we had problems with interpretation and kind of hard to keep these cases separate. So they kind of melt together. But anyway, appreciate all y'all's help. That will conclude this hearing or these hearings.
For any of you involved, I'll be back here in just a few minutes to call a great. Mr. Albee is with us for the department. Casa is with us. Mr. Michelson is with us representing the child. Mr. Wilson is with us representing the parents, the Watleys. I noticed Miss Watley is with Mr. Wilson.
Judge Mr. Watley's here also. He's just
Okay. All right. Both parents are here then. That accounts for all the parties. Albee, you may proceed.
I would call Miss Sledge, Your Honor. 14 years old.
Yes, sir.
And where is she currently placed?
She's placed in Sugar Land, Texas, in an RTC, but she's doing great.
And that's what I was going to ask. How's she doing?
She's doing great. She's in school on campus. She's involved. She's getting along with all her peers. She told me she loves the place because she's connected and able to talk to peers her age. She gets to do small groups with peers and able to talk about things. She said it feels like a family, a home. She also stated that she's in counseling and she likes it as well. And she's doing great. She also had a great Christmas, she told me, and things like that. So she's really enjoying the place.
And I assume that they are meeting all of her needs, her medical needs, mental health needs, those things.
Yes, sir.
Her adoptive parents are Camry and Curtis Watley.
Yes, sir.
And have the Watleys advised you that they believe it would be in Rachel's best interest for them to relinquish their parental rights at this time?
Yes, sir.
Have you provided them with an affidavit of relinquishment?
Actually, I didn't. They said that their attorney did, and they signed those papers, and they were going to present them at the hearing today because they didn't want Rachel back in the home.
Do you have an opinion as to whether or not it would ever be in the best interest of Rachel to return to the Watleys at this time?
My opinion is I feel like Rachel should not be returned in the home because they stated they will not. They don't want her in the home. So it's best interest, in my opinion.
There were obviously some conflicts. That was part of the reason that we have the child in our care.
Correct.
So you did not prepare service plans at this time?
Actually, I did because I was told to, even though that they had stated to me that they were going to relinquish, I still had to prepare those family plans. I did tell them what was on those family plans, and they stated they did not want to do any services because they feel like this will occur again. And so they feel best interest is Rachel stay where she's at and not be returned to their home.
So currently you would agree with me that it would be contrary to Rachel's general welfare to return her to either parent?
Correct.
And that it would not be safe to return her to either parent today?
Correct.
I'll pass the witness, Your Honor.
All right. Y'all can just tell me, are we going to treat this as a final? Or are we going to relinquish today, or are they not on file yet?
Judge, I think there's some misunderstanding. I think my clients had informed her they thought their intention. We had not produced an affidavit yet, but I mean, we can, or I don't know. Todd may want to send me one or something, because I know maybe the department's affidavits may be a little different than what I would have, but we can do that. Yeah. And I do want to clarify one thing Ms. Sledge said. And again, I think this was just differences in communication. And it sounds like Rachel's doing fine where she's at, so this may not even matter. I mean, the Watleys will perform whatever services they need to perform to help her. No, they don't think she can come back, that it's not a workable situation. But if there's anything they need to do to help her in her situation, they will do it. I doubt that that's probably very likely if that's the conclusion we make, is that she's not coming home. But right. I just want to be clear that they're willing to do whatever will make her life better under the circumstances. It's just going to be impossible for her to come home and for them to have a family under the circumstances.
Okay, well, I'll just go ahead and we'll treat this as we would any other status hearing, whether or not they work the services. Obviously, if they're going to relinquish, then we can probably even bump up when I'm going to set the next hearing for. But as far as today, we'll just treat this as your normal status hearing. So, okay, all right, thank you. Then, Mr. Wilson, did you have any questions of Ms. Sledge?
I do not at this time, Judge.
All right, thank you. Mr. Michelson, any questions?
Yes, Your Honor. Is Rachel taking psychotropic medication?
Yes, sir. She is on her medication. She's on for bipolarness. She's on for anxiety and depression. She's also on, she said, for schizophrenia. And she stated that she's taken all of them and they make her feel just fine.
Okay, and has that medication been reviewed in the last 30 days?
Yes, sir. Sorry. Yes, sir.
Okay, and you testified earlier about her progress in school. She's doing well?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and she's doing well in placement?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and have the Watleys visited with Rachel?
No. And the reason why that is because whenever I spoke with Miss Watley has stated to me about the relinquishment. I talked to my supervisor about the situation, and I was advised to have the therapist's recommendation of what is best for Rachel as far as the visits. I'm sorry. As far as contact with Rachel and mom.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. No further questions, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. All right, if no one else has further questions for Ms. Sledge, Mr. Alley, did you have any other witnesses?
No, Your Honor. I'll pass the witness, or I'll rest at this time. Excuse me.
Mr. Wilson, any witnesses?
No, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Michelson, any witnesses?
No witnesses, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Michelson, recommendations?
I would recommend that the department remain temporary managing conservator and that placement be continued.
All right, and CASA, anything to add?
No, I don't have anything to add.
Okay, thank you. All right, then I will continue the department's temporary managing conservator, continue Rachel's current placement. Again, from what we've heard from Mr. Albee and Mr. Wilson, I will go ahead and order the services for each parent as contained in their service plans, knowing obviously that if they decide to relinquish, then they will probably not be working any of those services. I'll set the next hearing, the initial permanency hearing, for June 5th, 2024. If the parents decide to relinquish and if everyone's in agreement, we can treat that as a final hearing, as all the parties would have more than their 45 days notice of the final hearing. Okay, Mr. and Ms. Watley, this is probably immaterial, but I'm required to admonish you on this. The services that are contained in your service plan become a court order today. At a final hearing, if you haven't worked those services, your parental rights could be altered or terminated. Do you both understand that?
Yes, sir.
Okay, all right, thank y'all. Okay, that will conclude this hearing. For those of you involved, I will be back here in about 10 minutes or so. Mr. Alley is with us for the department. CASA is with us. Ms. Grant is with us, representing Mr. Breyer. And let's see, Ms. Grant, is your client with you?
No, Your Honor, I expected him and we provided the link, but I don't see him on the screen.
Yeah, I don't either. Okay. Ms. Graham, the mother, is with us. And then we have an alleged father, Mr. Poplin, who is not with us. Mr. Harris isn't with us, but I know he is not going to make the hearing. He sent me a email on his recommendation, but I do have, I'm looking to see Jeff Hill in the waiting room. He might be covering for someone, so I'm going to get him in to see who he's here for.
Natalie Archer, Judge. Yes, thank you.
Okay. Let's see. Who does she represent? I don't show her.
She represents the mother, Brianna Graham.
Okay. Let me make a note of that. I didn't have that. Okay, I've got that now. Okay. That's everyone involved, except for Mr. Breyer and Mr. Poplin. This case was set for 10 o'clock. It's now 10:11. We will proceed in their absence. Mr. Albee, you may proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. I would call Miss Jennifer Campos. Jesse's 11, Dakota's 2.
Yes, sir.
Where are they currently placed?
At the High Plains Children's Shelter,
And how long have they been there?
for a little over a month.
And that's a short-term stay. Are we looking for a more permanent placement for them?
Yes, sir.
Do we have any ideas where they might be going?
No, sir. Our placement team is still currently looking. The High Plains Children's Shelter did ask if they could stay there until they are done with Dakota's medical appointments.
My next question was going to be, is the current placement making sure that the children are going to all of their mental health, counseling sessions?
Oh, yes, sir.
How are the children doing in their placement?
They're doing very well. Jessie is in school. She is in the 5th grade. They are still doing a lot of tests on her because she is severely behind. So they are doing a lot of tests on her currently to kind of help her better. Dakota is doing well. He's gaining weight. He's been to the doctor several times and has a lot of follow-ups and scheduled appointments this month so that way they can better help him.
Children's mother is Miss Brianna Graham.
Yes, sir.
Have you had an opportunity to sit down with Miss Graham and develop a service plan?
Yes, sir.
Did y'all do that together?
Yes, sir.
And is that in the service plan that you developed, was it specifically tailored for Miss Graham's special needs?
Yes, sir.
When you were developing that plan, did you have input from Miss Graham?
No, sir.
Did you go over the service plan with Miss Graham, though?
Yes, sir.
And did she tell you that she understood the services that were in that service plan?
Yes, sir.
And eventually, did she sign the service plan?
Yes, sir.
And is that service plan on file with the court today?
Yes, sir.
Thomas Poplin has been named as the father to Jesse Graham. Have you had any contact with Mr. Thomas Poplin?
I have not had any contact with Thomas. No, sir.
Do you know where he may be?
As far as I know, he is in La Force, Texas.
Have you reached out to his addresses that you might have on file?
I did try and call the phone number that we have on file, left a voicemail, and there was no call back.
The father to Dakota is Austin Breyer. Have you had contact with Mr. Breyer?
I have not had any contact with Mr. Breyer.
For Mr. Poplin and Mr. Breyer, did you develop potential service plans for each of them?
Yes, sir.
Did you develop those service plans based upon your knowledge of the case and your conversations with Miss Green?
Yes, sir.
And did you outline those service plans in your court report?
Yes, sir.
Today, are you asking that each of the service plans, the one for Miss Graham and one for Mr. Poplin and the one for Mr. Breyer, be made orders of this court?
Yes, sir.
In the meantime, do you feel that it would be contrary to Jesse and Dakota's general welfare to return them to any parent at this time?
Yes, sir.
Before asking any further, has Miss Graham began working any services?
Yes, sir. She's actually done one parenting class. Her phone did break, so she had to get another phone. And so she has done one parenting class.
Do you feel that she has done sufficient services that alleviate the reasons for the children's removal from her?
No, sir.
So would you agree with me it would be unsafe then to return either child to her care?
Yes, sir.
And since you don't know, because you haven't had any contact with Mr. Poplin or Mr. Breyer's current environments, would you believe that it would be unsafe for either child to be returned to either father?
Yes, sir.
Are you asking them that the court be continued as temporary managing conservator, and that the children's current placement be left as is until all the medical needs, medical appointments have been reached and we find a proper placement?
Yes, sir.
Has Miss Graham been exercising visits with the children?
Yes, sir.
Are those face-to-face or virtual?
They're face to face.
And how are those visits going?
Those visits seem to be going very well. Jessie loves to see her mom, and I have not had any concerns addressed to me.
Thank you, Ms. Campos. I'll pass the witness, Your Honor.
All right, thank you, Mr. Hill.
No questions, Your Honor.
Right. Again, Mr. Harris is not with us. Ms. Grant?
Ms. Campos, are you aware that Dakota's dad is in Oklahoma?
Yes, ma'am.
And any services listed in his service plan, to the extent available, could be provided by telemedicine. Would you agree with me there?
Yes, ma'am.
And if you're asking for any drug testing of him, would you be willing to seek out a facility in Oklahoma and contract appropriately to be able to get those tests done in his location?
Yes, ma'am.
And to the extent, will you be setting up a courtesy worker in Oklahoma to visit his home as soon as possible?
Yes, ma'am.
And for all intents and purposes, he's not technically the non-offending parent, correct? He's technically the non-offending parent, correct?
Correct.
And the service plan is surrounding any concerns that were identified due to background checks or history, correct?
Correct.
And do you feel the service plan that you put in place correctly addresses those items?
Yes, ma'am.
And are you aware of any comments by either parent as to any child support previously ordered in this matter?
No, ma'am.
And are you aware of any comments made by either parent as to any previous court orders that might exist as to Dakota?
No, ma'am.
Okay, pass the witness, Judge.
All right. Anyone have further questions for Ms. Campos? All right, Mr. Alvey, any other witnesses?
No, Your Honor, we rest at this time.
All right, thank you. Mr. Hill, any witnesses?
No, sir.
All right, Ms. Grant, any witnesses?
No, sir.
All right. All right, as I said, Mr. Harris is not with us today. So is his recommendation, he sent me an email. He recommends current placement is safe and appropriate and should be continued. The department should be continued as temporary managing conservator. Visitation should only take place after school hours. That was his recommendation. So, Casa, anything to add?
Your Honor, we agree with Mr. Harris's recommendation.
Okay. All right, then. I will continue the department as temporary managing conservator, continue the children's current placements. I will order the services for all the parents as contained in their service plans. I will set the initial permanency hearing for June 5th, 2024. That will be by Zoom like today's hearing, so parties and attorneys can go on the court's online docket a day or two in advance of June 5th to see exactly what time we'll have that hearing. Ms. Graham, if you would unmute for a minute, please.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Ms. Graham, I need to admonish you that the services contained in your service plan become a court order today. At a final hearing, if you have not worked those services, your parental rights could be altered or terminated. Do you understand that, ma'am?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Okay. That will conclude this hearing. For those of you involved, I'll be back here in just a few minutes to call final order. Mr. Alvey's with us for the department. Casa is with us. Ms. Grant is with us representing the child. Ms. Kincaid is with us representing the mother, Ms. Maudlin. Ms. Kincaid, were you expecting your client?
Your Honor, I was not aware of this hearing until this morning when I reviewed our docket, and so I did not send her the Zoom link for this hearing today. She was in contact with me last week about some of the reports, but I just didn't connect the dots until today. So she may not be here.
We've got somebody in on a phone line. I'll go ahead and let in. And Ms. Grant, just so you'll know, Mr. Breyer from the last hearing was in the waiting room. I tried to bring him in, let him know that was over, and then he fell off. So anyway.
I'll place a call to the judge.
Okay. Cindy Young, was she your witness, Mr. Alley?
She's the CASA volunteer.
Okay.
I'll get her in and then let's see who's on the phone line. On a phone line ending in 295, if you would unmute and tell us who you are, please. Well, I don't know who that is. Mr. Albee, you don't have a witness, and Miss Young is still trying to join. We'll wait and see if your witness joins us shortly.
Oh, hello.
That's you, Mavis?
Yes, that's me.
Okay.
I'm sorry, my Zoom did not work. I tried several times and it wouldn't work.
Okay, we've lost Miss Maudlin. She fell out of the waiting room, so we'll go ahead and get started here. Hang on just a minute.
Judge, I can call her afterward, but I spoke with her last on February 2nd, so we've kind of gone over all the reporting that we received.
Okay. All right, let's go ahead then and we can proceed. Mr. Albee?
Thank you, Your Honor. I would call Miss Mavis Opoku Asante. Where is she currently placed?
She's placed with kinship in Wheeler, Texas.
And that's the same kinship placement that she has been in for some time now?
Yes, sir.
And is that kinship placement meeting all of her needs?
Yes.
At our final hearing a couple of months ago, there was some discussion that maybe the kinship was going to move to Missouri. Have you had any further conversations with kinship about moving to Missouri?
Yes, the home study that we were doing in Missouri was declined, so I don't think that is a possibility now.
Okay. And Abigail still is doing well in school?
Yes, she's doing well at school.
And her grandfather is making sure that she gets to all of the medical appointments, mental health appointments that she has.
Yes.
Mother is Miss Crystal Maudlin, and there were some concerns about her physical health, her mental health, and her stability. Have you had, are there services that Miss Maudlin is completing at this time?
Yes.
What
She
are
was
those?
able to complete her psychological, and she's not been able to secure a job yet, and she's still attending mental health with a doctor in Missouri.
Is she still living in the same apartment that she was for several months now?
Yes.
And is she maintaining contact with Abigail?
Yes, she is.
And is that through virtual conversations?
Yeah, through Zoom and then Facebook.
And do you know how those visits are going?
Yeah, they are going well. And she calls, she's exhausting all her 5 hours.
At this time, do you feel that it would still be contrary to Abigail's general welfare to return her to Miss Maudlin?
Yes.
And that it would still be a danger to Abigail to return her?
Yes.
Are there other services or any additional services that we need Miss Maudlin for the court to order that Miss Maudlin do at this time?
Yeah, we are still doing the family counseling, which is ongoing every month. And then she has to see the doctor for his mental health, and she needs to secure a job. The job that she was supposed to secure, she found one, but then she's not working. I called to verify her employment, and the supervisor told me she's on the call list, but she's never been called. So I told her, was it yesterday? Yeah, and then last week that she needs to go out to look for a job that she can be on for either part-time basis so that she can supplement her income.
Thank you, ma'am. I'll pass witness.
All right, thank you, Ms. Kincaid.
Thank you, Your Honor. Miss Maudlin stays in very good contact with you. Is that fair to say?
Yes.
Okay. And she is making progress. We kind of ran out the clock at the final, but she does continue to make an effort to work her services. Is that correct?
Correct.
And does it seem like she's doing a better job of using all of her visitation time?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. I'll pass the witness.
All right, Ms. Grant.
No additional questions.
All right, then. Mr. Albee, any further witnesses?
No, Your Honor. Rest.
Ms. Kincaid, any witnesses?
No witnesses, Your Honor.
All right, Ms. Grant, any witnesses?
No witnesses, Your Honor. Abigail is doing well in her current placement. It is her second choice since she can't go to Missouri, and I would just recommend she continue on as she has been, and that mother continue to exercise visitation consistently and as much as possible.
Okay, all right. And Casa, anything to add?
Nothing to add, Your Honor. She's doing great.
Okay, all right then. I will continue the department as permanent managing conservator and continue Abigail's current placement. We'll have our next review hearing, if necessary, on July 31st, 2024. That will be by Zoom like today's hearing, so parties and attorneys can go on the court's online docket a day or two in advance to see what time we'll have that hearing. All right, I believe that was our last hearing for the day. I've got to swear in some Casas at 11, but other than that, we will stand in recess. Everybody have a good rest of your week and have a good weekend.
Thank you, Judge.
Thank
Thank y'all.
Thank you, Judge.